Chapter 5. What is your real size? Flying across the ocean is not an easy task. If you have managed it, you surely must be as powerful as Garuda or Vayu. Sita was appreciating Hanuman for his monumental achievement. Having herself traveled on that path in the Pushpaka Vimana of Ravana and having seen the vastness of the ocean, she knew it was a formidable mission. Immediately, Hanuman became uncomfortable. The last thing he expected his venerable mother Sita to do was glorify him. Shifting the focus from himself, Hanuman began speaking. Let me assure you, O Divine Mother. In the entire monkey army there is not even one monkey who is less than me in abilities. All are either equal to me or better than me. Their wisdom is deep, their proficiency in wielding any sort of weapon is marvelous, and their loyalty towards Lord Rama is impeccable. Lord Rama has picked me for this errand of delivering a message to you because he considers me the lowest in the cadre and fit as a messenger. Naturally, no king would want to risk their most competent men for such duties. Sita was impressed with Hanuman's humility. She said, Son, I have a doubt. Will you help me understand? When Hanuman heard the word son from Mother Sita's mouth, he melted with joy. In fact, Hanuman had adopted a minuscule form only to inspire motherly affection in her, towards him. He nodded his head in excitement, eager to render his mother some service. She asked, I have seen you change sizes, so, I am confused, what is your real size? Hanuman became very happy with Mother Sita's enquiry. He humbly explained, I am always small. But, by God's grace, I can turn bigger in size when needed. God's power is great, therefore, I can grow big by taking shelter in him. Otherwise, I am always small. Sita smiled with appreciation at the deeper meaning of Hanuman's innocent words. He continued speaking in the same humble tone of a messenger. He did not say he would protect Sita. He only declared emphatically, when I go back to Lord Rama and Lakshmana and tell them you are in Lanka, they along with Sugriva and his warriors are sure to rush to Lanka without wasting a moment. Please be patient and be assured that Lord Rama will come and take you back. I only request you to give me something that assures Lord Rama that I actually met the right person in Lanka. Sita removed a chudamani, headgear worn by married women, which she used to wear on her head. While handing it over to Hanuman, she told him to present it to her Lord Rama. Seeing this, he will remember three persons. Since the jewel was given to me by my mother in the presence of Lord Rama and his father, said Sita. She also narrated the story of the crow named Kakasura which had attacked her in Chitrakoot and how Lord Rama had saved her using a blade of grass, transforming it into a Brahmastra, divine missile. This story wasn't known to anyone in the world except Lord Rama and her. Armed with these two gifts, Hanuman was ready to give her message to his eternal master. All humility is a silent festival that is celebrated alone, but appreciated by. Havoc in the Golden City. When they entered the garden, there was smoke everywhere. Everything was destroyed, only ruins everywhere. The once celebrated royal gardens of Lanka, the pride of their king, were nothing but a crematorium now. The only tree that was still standing was the Ashoka tree under which Sita was still seated. But as they looked carefully, the destroyer wasn't visible. Commands were barked and soon, they spread out in 10 directions to comb him out. Thinking that the culprit was hiding somewhere in fear, they approached Sita's tree. The only person alive in that area was Sita. The rest were either dead or had fled. As soon as the leader of the 80,000 men that Ravana had deputed to look into the Ashok Vatika crisis approached Sita, something interesting happened. From the foliage of the tree, he could hear a crunching noise. He went closer to inspect properly. Suddenly, a half-eaten apple was smashed against his face. He was disgusted. He ordered one of his men to climb the tree to find out which animal was hiding up there. As soon as the man reached the upper part of the tree, a leg appeared that kicked him hard on his ribs. The man went flying and landed on the ground at a distance, vomiting blood. The man died on the spot. Hearing the cry of the dying man, the entire army gathered to face their hidden enemy. Hanuman stepped out of the foliage and was now standing on a thick branch of the tree, with one hand on his hip and another holding a mace to his shoulder. Seeing Hanuman's strong physique, the soldiers gasped. Lunging forward, he jumped down and kicked two soldiers on their heads, cracking their skulls and killing them instantly. The leader gulped heavily and mustering some courage, ordered his men to attack. Instantly, Thousands of soldiers began running towards Hanuman with raised weapons. Effortlessly swinging his mace wildly, Hanuman sent them back flying with all their limbs smashed. Every time he hit one of them, he would shout out with joy, "Jai Shri Rama." Within minutes, all the 80,000 men were history, and Hanuman continued eating fruits till the next batch arrived. This time, Ravana, not wanting to take a risk of deputing an incompetent leader, sent his own son, the heroic Akshay Kumar. A track record of not losing a single battle supported this hero's unflinching confidence. All that was shattered once Hanuman planted the first kick square on his chest. Hanuman hadn't even given him a chance to make the first move. Of course, he did try his best to overpower the wild monkey prince, but nothing he did was even remotely effective. Finally, not wanting to prolong matters, Hanuman picked him up by his legs and spun him around several times before smashing him to the ground, crushing his head to pulp. The ghastly death of Akshay Kumar sent waves of panic in Lanka. Now, no one wanted to even come in the proximity of Hanuman. An aggrieved Ravana was agitated at the loss of his dear son. With no other choice left, he assigned the task to Indrajit, his most powerful eldest son. Indrajit assessed the situation and understood that the enemy was not an ordinary one. Killing him was out of question. All he had to do was capture him by deceit. He used every illusory trick he knew during his attack on Hanuman. All his strategies failed to work on this divine monkey. Finally, he decided to use the most powerful and sure-shot weapon he had in his possession. The Brahma Pasha divine infallible rope missile. Aiming the missile towards Hanuman's chest, Indrajit laughed. As soon as the missile of Lord Brahma hit Hanuman's chest, Hanuman froze. He considered his next move carefully. He concluded that his intention in destroying Ashok Vatika and Ravana's army wasn't to end everything on his very first visit. It was simply aimed at giving Ravana a powerful warning. Now that he had already caused sufficient damage and his reputation had been established in Lanka, it was time for a rendezvous with the king himself. Concluding thus, he closed his eyes and allowed himself to be bound by the ropes of the Brahma Pasha. The soldiers who were observing this couldn't decipher the subtle smile on Hanuman's face when the ropes were binding him. Lord Brahma had blessed him that he wouldn't be affected by any weapons. But out of respect for the divine weapon and in order to meet Ravana, Hanuman allowed himself to be captured. Seated on a high-raised golden throne, studded with emeralds, Ravana looked down upon the wily monkey that had brought Lanka to a standstill. He was disgusted with his army for their inability to capture this naughty and seemingly harmless monkey. Yet again, Hanuman, on seeing Ravana, felt deep admiration for his personality. He was undoubtedly highly charismatic. If only he hadn't been an enemy of virtue, he could have been a world protector. But alas, all that was only wishful thinking. The reality was that this was a demon, and that too the most vicious type. And Hanuman had a message for him, a message that would wake him up. Since no one was offering him a seat, Hanuman thought it best to help himself. Coiling his tail behind his legs, Hanuman created a seat for himself. Purposefully, he raised the seat so high that it was clearly way above Ravana, such that Ravana had to now look up at him, straining his neck. Hanuman introduced himself as the servant of Kaushalya's son, here, on the mission of finding Mother Sita. Hanuman warned Ravana to return Sita with dignity, failing which a disaster awaited him. Hearing such arrogant words from this monkey in his own court and in front of all his subordinates, Ravana screamed, "Kill the monkey!" As the guards rushed with raised weapons towards Hanuman, Vibhishana, the younger brother of Ravana, stepped forward and dissuaded him from harming a mere messenger. He reminded the king of the code of conduct for warriors that strictly forbade harming a messenger. Hanuman was impressed at the audacity of this man to speak so boldly in front of Ravana. Considering merit in his brother's words, Ravana decided not to kill Hanuman but to do something worse. Soon, hundreds of pieces of cloth were brought to the courtroom and wrapped around Hanuman's long tail. Everyone was amazed at the length the tail had assumed. When stretched completely, it almost covered the floor of the entire courtroom. Once the humongous project of tying cloth to the tail was completed, the cloth was set ablaze. As soon as the cloth caught fire, the tail came into action. So far, it had been lying motionless. Suddenly, it started moving around, rapidly flashing flames at the faces of people all around the courtroom. Ravana ordered that Hanuman be tied more firmly and taken out of the courtroom immediately. Once out of the palace, Hanuman was taken all over the city to demonstrate to the people of Lanka that their criminal had been caught and was being punished for his misdeeds. Ravana wanted to do this to calm the disturbed and fear-stricken minds of the Lankavasis. Of course, Hanuman used this as an opportunity to study Lanka's fortification. All around Lanka, peals of laughter were heard as Hanuman was being taken around. The people of Lanka were enjoying the monkey's suffering. When Sita heard about the burning of Hanuman's tail, she offered an earnest prayer to the fire god, requesting him not to hurt the tail. Suddenly, Hanuman couldn't feel any pain. He understood that it must be the result of Mother Sita's prayers. Immediately, he concluded that it was time for action now. He shrunk himself and slipped out of the ropes that had bound him. Only a piece of rope remained in the hands of the soldiers who were dragging him around. Looking around, they found him on the rooftop of a nearby building. They couldn't figure out how in the world he could reach there. As they looked at him in dismay, Hanuman, laughingly, set the entire building on fire with his tail. The soldiers rushed towards the building to capture Hanuman, but by that time, he had already jumped to the roof of another building and set that building on fire as well. Assuming a gigantic form, he jumped from one building to another, setting everything on fire. Except for Vibhishana's palace, soon, every other building was on fire. The Golden City was burning. From the top of the same mountain where he had stood before entering Lanka, he inspected the burning city. Screams of terror could be heard far in the distance. The dream city had now become a dreadful city. As he laughed heartily at the plight of the Lankavasis, a sudden panic gripped him. Suddenly, his mood changed. The best way to conquer an enemy is to conquer his confidence. Reign in Lanka. This was absolutely nonsense. How could he have done this? Whose side was he on? After all the efforts had gone waste with this one foolish act of his. Hanuman was extremely upset with the new turn of events. Just when he was basking in the glory of his victory over Lanka, this happened. It began to rain. The residents of Lanka started celebrating the onset of rains. There were shouts of joy everywhere. How could Indra, the god of rains, have done this? Was he on Lord Rama's side or Ravana's? Hanuman was upset with this development and decided to confront him. He spotted Indra way above in the clouds, planning to return having accomplished his task. Hanuman intercepted him and questioned his actions. Indra smiled and asked Hanuman to have a closer look at what was happening in Lanka. Hanuman looked back and saw that everyone there was screaming in agony and had resumed running hither and thither. There was utter chaos in the city and the fire had raged even higher. But what confused him the most was despite all that, it continued raining in Lanka. Hanuman turned to a smiling Indra in total confusion. Indra answered with a grin on his face, "Hanuman, it's not raining water, but fuel." Hanuman became very happy with Indra's intelligence and returned to the mountaintop to watch the fun. As he was taking a bird's-eye view of Lanka, he saw that every nook and corner of the city had turned into an inferno. That's when panic gripped him yet again, but, this time, the reason was different. He had made the biggest blunder of his life. How could he have done this? If each and every corner of Lanka were up in flames, wouldn't Mother Sita be caught in the same fire too? He began to curse himself as he sprinted towards Ashok Vatika. He had foolhardily destroyed the very reason for which he had come to Lanka in the first place. If Mother Sita was burnt in the fire, there would be no reason for him to live, he would throw himself in the fire too. How could he dare to face Sugriva, Lord Rama and Lakshmana now? This was the result of acting with excessive passion. Passion makes one blind to the realities of life and, then, one's actions are governed by one's obsessions. Anger had made him dumb and insensitive. An angry person is unsteady in his actions. His mind was racing at a greater speed than his legs. The only difference was his legs were running in the present and his mind was racing in the future. His mind was analyzing what would happen if Mother Sita actually perished in the fire created by him. If Mother Sita perished, Lord Rama and Lakshmana would also give up their bodies. Unable to forgive himself, so would Sugriva. On hearing this report, how would Bharata and Shatruna survive? On learning that the most pious race of Ikshvaku has met its end, all beings would be tormented with grief and agony. I let my mind be dominated by anger and I am guilty of destroying the entire world, thought a visibly troubled Hanuman. Just then, Hanuman reached Ashoka Vatika. Suddenly, he began to see auspicious omens all around him. Somehow, on its own, his mind became peaceful, and positive thoughts began flowing in it again. How could fire harm fire? Mother Sita's purity was like the purity of fire itself. The power of her prayers had saved my tail from being burnt. How could she have perished in fire? She had been protected by her own chastity and the power of the holy names of Lord Rama, Hanuman ruminated. At that moment, a celestial voice declared that Sita was absolutely safe and sound. Hanuman relaxed. He further verified about her safety in Ashoka Vatika. Seeing her safe and secure, Hanuman was overjoyed. He sought her blessings and prepared to return to Lord Rama and the monkey army. If finding Mother Sita had been tough, getting Lord Rama here would be tougher. If coming alone had been difficult, returning with an army would be impossible. If managing one's own journey had been difficult, managing the journey of 1,000 million monkeys would be madness. The first letter of anger represents audacity and the last letter, repentance. Found Sita I. Every other search party had returned with news of failure. They reported how they had searched every nook and cranny of the area they had been assigned. But there was no news of Sita's whereabouts. Disappointed and dejected, they all returned to an even more grief-stricken Rama. Hope seemed to have eluded him. However, one person still did not give up hope, the person whom Lord Rama trusted the most in the monkey army. Just then, there was pandemonium. From the southern direction, hordes of monkeys were returning, making a huge racket. Right amidst the army, flying above them was Hanuman. Lord Rama's eagerness and anxiety intensified on seeing the last phalanx of the monkey army return. He had no idea what news he would hear from them. Pressure mounted and they were still far away for Lord Rama to know exactly what news they had. Just then, he heard something he couldn't believe. As soon as he heard those words, Lord Rama was convinced that Hanuman was not just intelligent, but sensitive beyond comprehension. He had actually distorted the grammar of the language to give joy to Lord Rama. At the top of his voice, Hanuman shouted, "Found Sita I." As soon as he spotted Lord Rama, Hanuman realized his master must have been under tremendous pressure without the knowledge of the outcome of the search operation. Seeing the leaders of all other search parties assembled around Lord Rama, Hanuman knew that his lord was disappointed at their failure. He realized that he had to communicate properly to quell Lord Rama's anxiety. Analyzing the situation, he knew he shouldn't say, "I found Sita." If he said the word "I" first, being surrounded by failures, Lord Rama might assume that "I" is going to be followed by, "I did not find Sita." Just the thought may cause his instant death. Hanuman also ruled out announcing, "Sita I found." For even that would make Lord Rama arrive at the wrong conclusion. The only word that would revive Lord Rama's hope and give him the impetus to hold on till Hanuman reached him was "found." There was nectar filled in that one word. Though it was grammatically wrong, it was absolutely sensitive. Communication is not about perfection in grammar but about perfection in the ability to convey what a person wants to hear in a way that is sensitive and pleasing. By distorting grammar, Hanuman had given Lord Rama's morale a boost. As soon as Hanuman and his team were near Lord Rama, they ran up to him and conveyed that they had succeeded in finding Mother Sita in Lanka. Lord Rama inquired about the exact location and asked after Sita's welfare. Hanuman narrated each event in detail. His graphic description included everything that had taken place during his journey to Lanka and also within the island of Lanka. Finally, Hanuman brought out the Chudamani given to him by Sita and handed it over to a teary-eyed Rama. Memories of his beloved came flooding back to him and he couldn't be the sober, controlled leader anymore. He broke down and cried piteously. The entire monkey army assembled around the Lord also wept seeing the plight of the person they loved so dearly. To lighten the mood, Hanuman narrated the episode of Kakasura that Mother Sita had shared with him. Seeing Sita's Chudamani and hearing the story of Kakasura, Lord Rama knew beyond doubt that Hanuman had indeed met Sita. He got up and expressed his gratitude to Hanuman for having taken the trouble to find Sita. He told him that not just he, but the entire Raghu dynasty was grateful for his heroic act. Lord Rama continued speaking gracefully, "O Hanuman, presently, I do not have anything valuable to offer you in appreciation of your tremendous service. For all that you have done for me, the only thing I have to offer is my loving embrace. Please accept it as my all." Lord Rama pulled Hanuman close to his heart and embraced him lovingly. In the embrace, Lord Hanuman literally melted. He closed his eyes and savored every moment of that embrace. He wanted the memory of this embrace to remain in his subconscious memory forever. He was thinking how fortunate he was to receive this embrace that great sages hankered after, performing severe penances for thousands of years. Hanuman thought there was nothing more valuable than this that Lord Rama could have ever offered him. With that embrace, Hanuman got the inspiration to dedicate his life at Lord Rama's service and a desire to please him in every possible way. He decided that his life's aspiration would be to receive another embrace from Lord Rama. And he knew exactly how that could happen. Language is a medium of connecting hearts and not communicating words. When the impossible became possible, the impossible was done. In a matter of 5 days, the monkey army, under the guidance of architects Nala and Nila, worked together to construct an 100 yojana long and 10 yojana wide stone bridge across the ocean all the way till Lanka. The battle-eager army of Ravana waited with bated breath for the monkey army to arrive at their shores. Their hands were itching for a good fight. Little did they realize that this would be their last opportunity. The fight between the two camps lasted indefinite hours over several days and nights. During the day, the monkey army had an upper hand, but the nocturnal demons exercised more power, using illusory tricks under the cover of night. The turning point in the battle was the entry of the trickster Indrajit, the son of Ravana. He launched all his attacks in an invisible mode. He moved at lightning speed, hurling weapons from different directions. None of the monkeys could decipher Indrajit's tricks, let alone attack him. Realizing that the entire game plan depended on the brothers, Lord Rama and Lakshmana, Indrajit used a missile on them, given to him by Lord Brahma. The weapon successfully rendered Lakshmana unconscious. With the fall of Lakshmana, the morale of the entire monkey army took a hit. Every monkey lost his purpose for fighting and they all dropped their weapons and ran to help the fallen hero. Meanwhile, the enemies began to slaughter the monkey army. There was panic in the monkey camp. Just then, Jambavan arrived at the scene. He had been fighting elsewhere and had thus taken time to reach there. The first question he asked was, "Is Hanuman alive?" Jambavan's confidence in Hanuman's ability was such that as long as he was alive, hope was alive. Hanuman made his way pushing through the crowd of monkey leaders and reached the center where he saw Lakshmana lying unconscious. Tears ran down his cheeks. He was unable to accept that such a thing could happen to them. But seeing Jambavan unperturbed, he realized they still had a chance. He asked for the action plan. Jambavan promptly instructed Hanuman to bring 4 herbs that were available in the Himalayas. He explained the names of each herb and its medicinal properties. The first was named Murta Sanjivini that could restore a dead man to life. The second was called Salyakarani, used to extract embedded weapons and quickly heal wounds. The third was the Suvarna Karni, which was used to restore the body color to its original texture. And finally, the fourth was the Samdani, which was used to join fractured bones and severed limbs. With the names entrenched in his mind, Hanuman headed towards the Himalayas. While Hanuman was away, Jambavan cleverly orchestrated a cleanup strategy in the battlefield where the monkeys were asked to dispose the bodies of all the demons into the ocean and collect the bodies of the dead monkeys. Together, the experienced Jambavan knew that as soon as the herbs were brought to the battlefield, something mystical would happen. He didn't want the benefit of their endeavor to be shared by the demons. Hence, the cleanup drive became mandatory. Once done, all they had to do was wait and pray for Hanuman's return within the stipulated time with the magic herbs. Meanwhile, Hanuman had reached the majestic Himalayas after overcoming several challenges on his way. But the greatest challenge was identifying the herbs in the plethora of herbs that grew on these vast mountains. Being a novice in the field of medicine, he had no idea how to recognize them or distinguish one herb from the other. Had he had time, he could have surely figured it out, somehow. But today, time was ticking away much faster than ever, almost mocking his ability to match its speed. Unable to conclude which herb he had to pluck, Hanuman decided to do the impossible. He decided to carry the entire mountain back with him. Uprooting the entire mountain, Hanuman flew back with great speed and determination. As soon as Hanuman came within the vicinity of the battlefield and the fragrance of the herbs entered Lakshmana's nostrils, he gained consciousness. Even the dead monkeys were revived by the power of the herbs. The celebration and euphoria in the monkey army was causing disgust and irritation in the Rakshasa camp, more so because all their dead ones had been cleverly thrown into the ocean and couldn't be revived. Lord Rama felt relieved to see Lakshmana and embraced his brother. Hanuman returned the mountain to its original place and rejoined the last phase of the gruesome battle. Soon, Lakshmana killed Indrajit and Hanuman exterminated the rest of the Rakshasas. The final duel between Lord Rama and Ravana was watched with intense attention. As torrents of arrows whizzed past in each direction, the monkey army was thrilled at their lord's expertise. Though both were powerful, ultimately, Lord Rama released an arrow that penetrated through the navel of Ravana and sucked out his energy, leaving him lifeless. Vomiting blood from his 10 heads, Ravana fell dead. Cheers of joy broke out in the monkey army and they began to dance around Lord Rama and Lakshmana. All's well that ends well. It was time for a reunion. Impossibility is a limitation set by a doubting mind. Encouragement expands its horizons. Chapter 6 will be coming soon.